This is the EBKAROCY 14 Foldable Electric Bike that makes city rides faster without taking over your hallway. What impressed me most is how confidently it climbs steep streets while keeping the ride surprisingly smooth for such a compact frame. I put this in the compact commuter category. It fits people who live with stairs, elevators, or tight storage, and anyone who needs a reliable, low-fuss ride for daily errands and short to medium city trips. I fall squarely into that group. I ride to work, I run to the store, and I often mix in a bus or an elevator. I needed something small enough to bring inside, tough enough for beat-up pavement, and simple enough that I do not have to think about it every morning. The design is straightforward and purposeful. The frame is high-carbon steel, which gives it a planted feel when I drop off a curb or cut across rough patches. The 14-inch wheels sound small on paper, but in real life they help with tight turns and quick maneuvers between cars and bike lane obstacles. The seat has double springs and there are hydraulic shocks, so even on cobblestones or cracked asphalt, the bike does not beat me up. I have a picky back, and this saddle with high-density foam lets me ride longer without that dull ache I usually feel on firm seats. The battery sits under the seat and slides out with a key, which matters way more than it sounds. I pop it out when I get to the office, charge it by my desk, and pop it back in when I leave. No awkward lifting the whole bike to a wall outlet. Daily use comes down to a few things: setup, speed, and how predictable it feels in traffic. Setup was painless. The bike arrived about 95% assembled. I tightened a few bolts, set the handlebar height, inflated the tires, and followed the manual to set up the liquid crystal display. The controls are easy to learn. I have pedal assist for cruising and a throttle when I want a quick burst to clear an intersection. I like that the brake levers are light but not mushy. They give feedback early, which makes hard stops more controlled. Power is rated at 400 watts, and that number translates into practical, repeatable performance. From a dead stop, it eases forward without surging, then picks up quickly enough that I can merge into a bike lane ahead of a line of cars. On level streets, I see a top speed around 22 miles per hour, which is plenty for city riding. Hill performance is what won me over. There is a long climb on my route that always leaves me warm on a regular bike. On this, I stay seated, keep a steady cadence, and the motor does the heavy lifting without sounding strained. The sound is a low hum, easy to tune out. Range will always depend on how hard you push it and how much assist you use. The removable battery is 48 volts with 15 amp hours. On mixed routes with some hills, using assist most of the time and throttle here and there, I land close to 30 miles on a full charge when I keep my pace moderate. If I ride faster, that number dips, which is expected. The important thing is the consistency. I do not see weird drops or the battery cutting out unexpectedly. Charging is simple. If I need to top up during the day, I slide the battery out with the key and charge it indoors. That option removes a lot of anxiety about range, because I do not depend on one full charge to get me through a long day. Handling is where the size really helps. The short wheelbase and those 14-inch wheels make the bike feel nimble at low speeds. Threading through traffic jams is easy. The trade-off is that at high speeds on rough roads, I keep a relaxed grip and let the suspension do its job. The dual-spring saddle and the shocks take the sting out of potholes better than I expected, especially for a bike this small. The brakes are disc on the front and rear, and they inspire confidence. I tested a hard stop on a downhill, and the bike slowed in a straight line without skidding or wobble. That smooth deceleration is exactly what I want in a city stop-and-go routine. Night riding safety is well covered. The front headlight is bright, the rear light is clear, and having turn indicators on the back is a small but meaningful upgrade. I tap the switch and cars behind me actually notice. The display is a simple liquid crystal panel that shows speed, trip distance, and battery level. No clutter, no learning curve. There is a phone holder on the bar and a universal serial bus charging port. I did not expect much, but it charges my phone slowly and steadily, which is all I need when I am following directions home. The bike also has an alarm with a remote key fob. I tested it by mistake the first time. I moved the bike without disarming it and it blasted a loud warning. There is also a rear wheel lock that engages, which means someone cannot just roll it away quietly. In a city, that peace of mind matters. Let me walk through a few real rides. My weekday commute is a mix of flat streets, 2 decent hills, and a rough block of cobblestone. I leave early before sunrise, so lights and braking matter. On the cobblestones, the suspension levels out the chatter enough that my hands do not go numb. On the hills, the motor helps me crest while still breathing comfortably through my mask. I average around 20 miles per hour on the flat and slightly less on rolling sections, which feels safe and quick. At work, I lift the seat, slide the battery out and charge it under the desk. Midday errands add a few miles, and after-work rides add a few more. Folding the bike is a 2-step move, and the folded size is compact. It ends up about 27 inches long, 17 inches wide, and 26 inches tall. I wheel it next to me into the elevator and park it behind my chair without annoying anyone. The weight is the only part that gives me pause. At around 55 pounds, it is not something I want to carry up multiple flights daily. Rolling it is fine, lifting it repeatedly is not ideal. On a weekend test, I did a full range ride on mixed terrain. I kept assist at a middle level, used the throttle for short sprints from traffic lights, and rode at a pace that felt natural. I got close to the claimed range before I felt the power taper. That tells me the battery and motor tuning are honest for this size class. I also rode after a light rain. The tires held traction well on wet paint lines and smooth concrete as long as I kept my inputs gentle. I would not treat this as a trail bike, and I would not bomb down wet hills, but for normal urban surfaces, I never felt out of control. A specific use case that sold me on the convenience was a grocery run. I brought a small backpack and a reusable bag on the bar. The start-stop pattern in the parking lot was easy to manage with the throttle, and the brakes stayed precise even after several quick squeezes in a row. The seat comfort was noticeable once I had a few extra pounds to carry. The suspension under the saddle kept the ride comfortable when the road got choppy. When I got home, folding the bike at the curb and rolling it inside took less than a minute. There are a few thoughtful features that make daily life better. The lockable, removable battery means I can leave the bike downstairs without worrying about the most expensive component. The alarm and the rear wheel lock deter casual tampering. The turn indicators help signal clearly. The simple display shows only what I need, and that little universal serial bus port has saved my phone more than once. Nothing here feels flashy just for the sake of it. It is practical, and that is why it works. I do have some nitpicks. The weight is real, and if you live on a 4th floor walk-up, that will get old fast. The small wheels are great for agility, but are not the most relaxing for very long, fast rides. If you are very tall, you will want to pay attention to handlebar and seat adjustments to get a comfortable posture. The display is basic, which I personally like, but some riders might want more data or navigation features. The included phone holder works, though I swapped to my own after a few days because I prefer a tighter grip on my larger phone. None of these are deal breakers, but they are worth knowing. Stepping back, this is a compact, practical city electric bike that favors reliability and ease of use over flash. It suits commuters, students, and anyone who wants a strong push up hills without dedicating a full corner of the apartment to a bike. It starts up fast, handles crowded streets with ease, and folds small enough to live under a desk. If you need to carry a bike up many flights every day, or if you regularly ride very long distances at high speed, you should look at larger wheels and a lighter frame. If your day looks like short to medium trips with real hills and rough pavement, this checks the boxes and then some. It fits into my routine without fuss, and that is the best compliment I can give a daily rider. Please check the comments section for detailed information about the EBKAROCY 14400W foldable electric bike. Thank you for watching.